In this video, we'll be looking at what happens after we send a newsletter. Specifically, we'll look at the data that we have about the newsletter that's been sent and the statistics that are collected. In the previous episode, we sent a newsletter out to a group of subscribers, which we selected by category and by using a SmartView filter. We could see a list of the various newsletters that we sent out under the Newsletter Select box under Archive. And here we can see we have an overview of when the newsletter's been sent out, with both the date and the time, as well as information about the name of the newsletter, how many recipients received the newsletter, which internal user had sent the newsletter, if there was any filtering applied, as well as status, which would be especially relevant if there was, for example, a newsletter that's still being processed. I can select a given newsletter and either delete it from my archive altogether, which is handy if you want to delete tests and so forth, but I could also view the newsletter. Now, this doesn't mean that I can create a newsletter based on one that we sent out. We'll be able to do that with drafts, and we'll be taking a closer look at drafts in the next video series on building newsletters. But what it does allow me to do is view some details about the email that I've just sent. So here I could see which filters have been applied, and we could see who the newsletter's been sent to by clicking on Show List. And we can also see that we have a visual representation of the newsletter itself. Okay, now I'm going to return to the overview of my subscribers in order to be able to select the statistics area of the newsletter module. What we'll be able to see in statistics area is what links in our newsletters have been hit, how many times, by how many people, and we'll also be able to see who they are and just what they've been up to on our site. It's all good information in order to be able to get an indication of just what links are attracting our audience into our site, and thus we could use the information in order to inform our online strategies. What we have here is an overview of all the links that have been visited on our site. Up at the top, we can see there's a select box where we could choose a specific newsletter we want to investigate, which helps us narrow down our results. And then we can see that there's a list of specific sessions here. Session is just a fancy word for visit. Keep in mind that we could have a view of all the sessions or visits here, and that usually is from different visitors, but the same person can also visit several times. We have a place here for user, and this will be filled out if the user needed to log in order to get into our site at some point during their visit. This happens in conjunction with another Tangora module, which is called External Users, which your particular solution may or may not have. If we click on a given session, we can see that we get even more information up. There's information on who the visitor is, that is to say what their IP address is. And now here's another little twist, because in many cases, different people can share a single IP address, especially if we're talking about employees of a given company. We could also see info on the OS and the browser, what pages they were in, and when they clicked on our link. So we can see there's a lot of information here that we could obtain and analyze. In this video, we've seen what information we have about our newsletter after we've sent it out. We can see under the Archive section info about what was in the newsletter and when it was sent, who it was received by, and in the Statistics section, we can see what links have been hit, and we can get a lot of good information about who's been in how many times. That's the last video in our Sending Newsletter series. In the next series, we'll be looking at building a newsletter.